Hi, my name is Lisa Rothfus, and this is Family Divorce Stories. I'm a psychotherapist in the Austin area, and I started this channel to help families understand how relationships change after divorce. I hope these stories will help you and your child to keep a healthy relationship even after your divorce. So let me tell you a story. This is a story about David. He's been divorced for about a year, and he has two sons, ages 8 and 10. He has an expanded standard visitation, and he goes to pick them up every Thursday to have an overnight at his house. But in the last few weeks, the boys have not been wanting to get out of the car or go with him. He suspects it's probably something his ex-wife is saying to them, but he's not sure. However, he is getting more and more angry and frustrated with the situation. This scene takes place in an H-E-B parking lot on a Thursday night when they're doing their exchange for the overnight. Lately, when he's been arriving at H-E-B to pick the boys up, they have not been wanting to get out of the car and go with him. This night, he shows up, and now they don't want to get out of the car at all. As he walks towards the car, he hears his son say, "We don't want to go with you. We don't want to stay overnight. We want to stay with Mom." He can feel himself getting angry and tense. He goes up to his wife's car and says, "Tell the boys to get out of the car and go with me." They can all see how angry he is. So the mom turns around and she says to them, "Boys, you have to get out of the car. This is your dad's time. You know you have to go with him." But the boys don't budge. "We don't want to go with him. We don't want to do an overnight." Now David's getting increasingly angry. So he walks up to the window where the boys are and he says, "Stop being such babies. Get out of that car. You can stand to be away from your mother for one night. And if you don't get out of that car, I'm going to come over there and open up the door and I'm going to make you get out of that car." David really messed that up. He let the anger get the best of him, and everything he did made the situation worse between him and his boys. Let's talk about what he did wrong and what he could do better. David has a particular type of parenting style called authoritarian parenting. When he was married and his children were younger, he was able to get away with that style of parenting. But now he's divorced, and he and his wife are not making decisions together anymore. And his children are getting older. And this kind of parenting is actually starting to hurt David's relationships with his boys. In this particular scene, David is extremely angry, and he really lets the anger get the best of him. When he approaches the car, he not only shows how angry he is, he also yells, threatens the boys, and calls them names, all of which make the situation at the car much worse. So let's talk about how this scene could have gone very differently. David knew he was struggling with anger. It probably would have been good if he'd reached out and gotten a little help with that. What he doesn't seem to understand is that now, when he's trying to work on a relationship with his boys, he needs to be more patient and more understanding than he's ever been before in his life. That pushing them and demanding that they be respectful of him is actually pushing the boys away from him. One thing David could have done that would have been helpful was to talk to his ex-wife ahead of time and agree that if the boys were having a hard time, they would just go together somewhere for a little while and let the boys sort of transition and get used to being with David again. Sometimes it's really hard for children to transition from one parent to the other, and they need a time to adjust. They also could have spent some time talking together about, well, what could they do to help the boys feel more comfortable? And David could have really tried to listen to what they were saying. So let's go back and redo that scene with David and see what he could have done differently. So David walks up to the car and he hears the boys say, "We don't want to go with you. We want to stay with Mom. We don't want to do overnights with you anymore." And he says, "Well, I hear what you're saying, and I can see that you're upset, but I think we should all go somewhere and we should all talk about it together." So your mom and I have agreed we'll just go somewhere and we'll sit together for a while and we'll talk about what you're so upset about. But we don't want to go. So Sally turns to the boys and says, we're going to all go somewhere together and we're going to sit and we're going to talk about what you're upset about. And they all agree to go and have dinner together. These kinds of situations are really hard, and there isn't any magic for making them come out just right. Sometimes you really do need to reach out to somebody to help you problem solve and think about how you can create a better situation with your child. So this is where I can help you. So give me a call, we'll talk about your situation, and we'll discuss how we can help your story to come out better. This is Family Divorce Stories. My name is Lisa Rothfus, and you can reach me at 512-643-2851, or you can email me info@lisarothfus.com, or surf on over to my website at www.lisarothfus.com. Be sure to tune in to this channel for more divorce stories, and remember to subscribe.